every year since I've been here, since 19, we've had this particular grant, and maybe it has always been confirmed prior to the budget period. This time, it has not been confirmed. Yet, we still wanted to budget adequately for those positions.
So can someone explain to me what each one of those positions are? Can somebody explain to me what those positions are? Mr. Evans, when he's doing that, have we spoken to CSMOS? Why is there, what's the delay this year? We've got to.
Yeah, we met with them on several other requests, including this request. And the matter is, one where their internal practices take precedence. So as they're evaluating, making determination, we don't foresee any barrier to this situation because we have had it every single year. But for whatever reason, they had a new one of the reasons I know they had a new CFO. So maybe some of their practices and procedures are changing. But the matter's with them, and it's under review right now.
So in previous years, those employees that have been grant funded, you're saying because of grant funded, they're not included in any of our totals?
They were included as part of the grant fund.
But the grant fund isn't part of the budget. So with our full-time authorized positions, those positions were never included in any budget before?
They would have been included. That's on PSW in front of you here.
Mr. Biker, we approve the budget for each grant that we accept. So we do approve the budget for those grants. So it was in the budget, it was when we approved the funding from Mott for this grant, we approved the budget where those positions were. And now, since we haven't received the grant yet, and then we've done that in several different other departments,
That's
where we've got grants coming, but they hadn't been confirmed by the time the budget was approved. When we get those grants, we will be doing a budget transfer to move those funds into the grant and out of the general.
No, I understand that. I understand that process. I'm just trying to say, we posted this budget, right? And it shows allegedly all of the city of Flint employee totals.
Mhm.
And we're saying that previous years, those grant funded positions has never been part of this total.
I think they were part of the total.
Well, then that's what I'm asking.
They were part of they would have been part of the KSW, not against the 101 funded mayor's budget. Not all.
So we have employees, full-time employees that are not known to the public.
They are included in there, just not.
Where? Because I'm looking at, where would these, okay, so in fiscal year 23, that's what's in front of me, the mayor's office had 18. So this year, you are proposing 29. So where can I do the math to find those other 11 in different departments on this form?
Let's speak into the mic, sir. We can't hear you.
Mr. Mitchell.
No more. Ma'am.
If you want to come up here, I'll show you what I'm looking at.
Go ahead. That's what it's up to.
Going up there,
What he come to do? Oh, he got his cover right with it.
young boys.
So you went from 18 to 29. So where are these 11 in the previous year?
He should, like,
mentioned, but are not coherent now, I can't quite add to that question, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, I just want to know where those 11 people, if they've always been there, why haven't they been a part of our total that's been released to the public in this normal budget?
Yeah.
And
I will get that.
can you also give me a description of what, I don't need names, what those positions are and what they do?
Absolutely.
Because it seemed to me like if they're for, I'm sorry, the finance, can you, restate what the grant is?
Financial recovery, technical assistance.
So why isn't that in finance? Why is that part of the mayor's office?
It's the person that was applying for the grant was in the mayor's office, it just kind of housed itself in the mayor's office. But it didn't just cover, mayor's office people, there were other positions, that were partially covered and things like that. So, but again, that would be something I would have to, I can give you specific information on that later, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. I'll take a written response. We're not passing anything tonight anyway. Okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, 1 minute. I'm typing on, using my phone.
So are we adding any additional positions to the mayor's office this year? Are any of those 11 legit new positions?
I don't believe so. I'll confirm that, but I don't believe so. I think
So why do we have a $450,000 budget increase if there's no new personnel?
Wow. The grant, that part of that was in the grant fund, not in the general fund.
So that is part of this, that's
part of the
addition.
addition,
Okay. Then I will be on pins and needles waiting for your response on what those 11 are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because last year you said they went from 18 to 22, and now we're going from 18 to 29. So,
Go ahead. Ms. Michelle has to get up, and that's what we're going to do. So it's not real.
Okay. I'm looking under the executive department as a whole, and one of my questions is, I'm looking at the supplies and operating expenses and the big jump there. Why has the supplies and operating expenses category nearly tripled in 1 year? And what are those funds being used for? If you look under the fiscal year of 2025, that budget is at $362,000, right? You see that? And then for the proposed 2026 budget, it's going to increase to $1 million.
She's looking at the budget that,
I'm
we
looking-
received, not on the ones that.
I'm
you
looking
passed.
at this.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Most of that will be in professional services and legal. A lot of that also relates to the grant that we're talking about.
It says professional services. But it's under the line item of supplies and operating expenses.
Right, professional services is classified as, professional services is classified as operating and supplies. And that's actually, in the ordinance where we have the different classifications.
Well, professional services is above that. Professional services, there's an increase there too.
Oh, my God.
services line item is what increased, and that's part of the operating and supplies, operating expenses and supplies.
Okay, do you see, personnel services? Do you see personnel services?
Yes.
Okay, do you see, what is the increase in the budget from 2025 to the proposed budget for 2026?
Okay.
And why the increase?
Okay, one of the things we've been trying to do is reduce the account numbers that we have, and so you'd have to add a couple numbers together to get that. If you look at, maybe the line item, are you looking at,
No, I'm looking at this.
Wait, that's not.
okay, that again relates to the grant and the grant funded positions. Were previously funded under the grant. We anticipate that to happen yet, again, next year, just that we haven't received the word that we've received the grant yet.
So is it feasible to include something that you haven't received yet?
Because we haven't received it, at this point, we can't include it under the grant fund, we have to include it in the general fund. Once we receive it, we'll move it, transfer from the general fund to the grant fund, and we'll get paid for it on the grant fund.
So then it makes this proposed budget, in my opinion, kind of confusing.
It does, yes.
Probably on purpose.
We're trying to make sure that we have a realistic picture of what's occurring.
Okay, let's get back to the supplies and operating expenses category. I'm still not clear. Okay, so how much of it is actually for supplies? Let's break that down, because it's supplies and operating expenses.
You don't know.
If you're going for the budget book, you're actually looking at 3 different budgets for the executive office. That would include the mayor's office, the administrator's office, and light removal.
Right?
Okay, and so that in order to get the supply number for the executive office, you have to add those 3 numbers in there. Each part has probably half dozen to dozen different line items. So,
Okay.
if you want to get that, I can provide that. It's just that that's the format of what I anticipate that you want to receive.
Mr. Moore, I want everything I need to have
Okay.
to make an informed decision on this budget.
This document has all the information.
Yeah, I have it.
And we can provide it in the format that you want. It's just that you have to make a choice as to how you're going to present it. And we made one choice which was different than what you want, but we can provide what you're requesting.
And I think too, when you guys present us the budget, you present us with this, right? And maybe this part back here kind of breaks it down. This back here breaks it down. So, of course, you're gonna look at this front part first, and look at
It's easier to,
the two budgets, the one from 2025 to the proposed,
right.
okay? And I'm gonna have to look at everything that's being itemized and broken down, but, okay, let me ask the big question. What time, what's my time?
2 minutes for 2.
What budget do we have where is it listed, and how many employees?
I believe we currently have 2 employees.
And that's all?
You don't know.
What is the budget for that center?
You don't know.
Is it a part of the mayor?
No, it's not part of the mayor's budget, that's part,
Okay, what budget, I just want to be clear as to what budget is it a part of, do we know?
and coming out of the planning department for that position.
Okay,
And it's
so
spent-
that's in the planning department, okay? I'm looking at the jump in full-time staff. That's a big jump. To go from 18 in the year of 2025 to jump to the proposed of 2026, jump to 29.
Good.
That's a big jump. That's 11 full-time employees. And then 2 part-time positions. And I heard what you said to Mr. Pfeiffer, but I don't know, I'm still not clear as to why so many. And then for life, there's also,
There's a real effort to make, to increase the size of the blight budget. Our feedback that we received from the council last year was that there's a desire to do more to remove blight in the community. Last budget cycle, every hearing we had, council people were asking questions about blight and what we were doing, what we do to increase the amount of blight removal. And so,
yeah, I'm not concerned about the blight department's increase because there needs to be an increase, but I'm looking at the mayor's office. There's a big jump, 11 positions.
I believe those are grant funded positions.
those are grant funded positions that we're talking about.
Yeah, but, okay, well, I'll get that. Yeah, I'll get that.
Candace?
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Morjay, welcome again. I'm going to try to be succinct here. So education, training, and conferences, and I'm looking specifically under the mayor's. Who is covered in that part of the budget from the mayor's office? Because I noticed it's $5,000. So education, training, and conferences. Who attends the conferences? Who's covered in that?
There have been a lot of people getting different, going to different training sessions. We sent people to lead-based paid training, we've sent people to,
So the health navigators are included in that?
Pardon?
The health navigators are included in that part of the budget?
They may.
Or is it just,
It's proportionally their cost, I don't think it's a health navigator. But if there'd be other people in their office, they have been looking at other different programs because they do cover a
And
wide
just-
variety of topics.
thank you, and just so I don't ask any questions about through this budget year if I'm not supposed to, the health navigators are under, what budget are they under?
They're mostly under the opioid budget.
Or, I'm sorry?
The opioid budget.
Opioid
And
budget.
there's also some other dollars going in there.
Okay. Okay, so then I think I do have one more question. How many health navigators do we currently have?
4, I think we have 4.
Okay. Then under here, there is something described as equipment. What's covered in that? Because I noticed it's only like $2,000, so are we talking, what's covered in that equipment?
That'd be anything for the mayor's office, I don't think the mayor's office identified what they would typically, a printer or a chair or something will.
Okay, thank you, no, fine enough. Let's go to the city administrator, Mr. Edwards. We don't have a communications budget anymore, so never mind, that solved itself. I see in 2025, 26, you won't have one anymore. And then how many people do you have, that are part of your budget, Mr. Edwards?
Myself, an assistant, I have a part-time intern, and then this budget, one of the things I identified was another position in cybersecurity. But since IT at this point has feel similar, I'd like to look at a special projects manager because I've been doing a lot with parks, with facilities, with water department, special projects where it is a vast amount of time and I'm already spread pretty thin.
Got it, so the IT position isn't necessarily spelled out in here, it's just, but you are looking to, since, our IT department covers that cyber. I'll make sure I say it correctly how you said it, since the cyber position, is currently being fulfilled now by our IT department, you, need another hand on deck for the, specialty projects that you have, because you are currently serving as our DPW director, you have to, because we don't have one yet, so I can see how you might need another person to help with some of those.
And some oversight for planning and development too. So,
Oh, yeah, planning and development is actually a pretty, I would say expansive department, only because everybody could use more employees. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. I'm gonna just go to Blight. Let's talk revenue building. Hello, Mr. Brown, how are you this evening? Good. So, really quickly, I know last time we talked, we had these conversations, we were talking about how Blight could possibly be a department that paid for itself, and at one point we were doing cleanups and not necessarily billing people for the fact that we were cleaning it up. And then I understand you were also doing demos, correct? Have we started ticketing people more when we've had to clean up their lawns and their messes, or it's more specifically these commercial buildings? Because I know you have to do a lot of cleanup for commercial buildings. Keep speaking to your microphone. It's on. I can't hear you.
On the commercial side, yes, we do have, some funding that's, we've been charging back to the property owner, but we're killing it on the residential side. We have actually made more money, which is not our intended purpose, we're just trying to get in compliance, but we actually made more money this year than we did last year this time, as far as,
Okay. Can you explain to me a little bit more? I know we had Mike here the other day, and he was talking, and he was explaining how sometimes Blight does some demo projects or some demo work. Can you explain that, and then explain how that is split in between the two departments, or who takes on the bulk of the cost for that, or if there is some revenue to be gained from maybe billing someone for having to do demo for, say, an out-of-town landlord, they own the building was condemned, and for whatever reason they hadn't taken it down, but the city ended up doing the demo. Whose department does that revenue go back to? Let's go back to the first question. So, when you have to do some of the demo work, right, whose departmental budget is that coming out of? Is that coming out of yours, or is that coming out of mine?
it comes out both.
It comes out of both. Okay.
Because they initiate all the inspections and everything, and then we go and piggyback off of them. Like right now, we're doing a lot of fire escrow. I don't know if you know what that is or not, but we're doing some demos from fire escrow, and we just found out that some of the money that is held in this escrow account is not enough to fund the actual demo. So we're trying to pedal backwards so we can try to figure out a cohesive plan to try to get them so we can do a bundle and see whether we can get the most bang for the buck. So,
Right, we had that conversation with Mike during their budget hearings of the fact that obviously So you get 100%, 75% of it goes to the owner, 25% of it goes to the city for the fire escrow. And that 25% doesn't cover the fact that, there are a lot more steps that the city has to take to demo as opposed to if a person demos himself. I'm told maybe if the person did it, it's like $6,000. If the city does it, it's $22,000 because we have to call people to ensure, other things are safe in order for us to be able to do it.
Environmental costs and everything, so. Yes.
And so then once you do the demo and the, person is billed, say it's, an owner from out of town or wherever, whatever, and then we have to bill that person. So then the money that comes back, where does that go? Does it go to your department, it goes back to his department?
Well, we're very lucky if we get money back, but the thing about it is, say for instance, fire escrow money, because we did one of these before, took down a property, and the legal department is actually involved with it now because we're thinking about taking, action on, putting a lien on the property so we can recoup our money. So it's like, we've never done this before, we have done it before, but it's been so long, we're just trying to get back into what we were doing to try to make it good for everyone, so.
Right, and so excuse me for my ignorance, and if this question is a little bizarre, but if the legal department now comes in, is that 3 departments it has to be split in between?
Well, we need to talk about, we probably need to talk about that, because, legal puts a lot of work in it, because actually, with the fire escrow funds, that's actually where it starts with a court order. They get judgments, and then that gives us ability to execute the, code enforcement plan and go and tear the property down.
Okay. And so I'm guessing everybody just builds their budget based off of the part that they are going to do?
Yes.
And so as far as the revenue, so, with the fire escrow, Russell gets 75, we get 25. So, how do you all decide if, like you said, we're lucky if we do actually get the money back, if we have to, tear down someone's home, or if we have to tear down commercial property, how do you all decide the percentage of the money that goes where?
Well, there are a lot of things like, water department needs a cut. We actually pay them for their water, shut off service when they go out and disconnect water, so we can demo the property. And then Mike Ryder's, personnel is already included in that. We just a long sheep, I guess, we haven't gotten our money yet, so. We'll probably get it.
So what happens, you just build that department for your money? Okay, all right. And then I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, don't correct me, stay silent, I don't know. Your department is now moving into some forestry?
Yes, we actually, threefold, we're doing demo, we're doing forestry, and we're doing the blight cleanups.
Okay. And was that reflected in this budget, Mr. Moore?
I didn't hear what all he said.
I'm just, excuse me, specifically speaking to the forestry aspect that they are now taking on. Is that reflected?
The forestry side will be coming out of the major local street fund.
I'm sorry?
The forestry work, for the most part, will be done on the road right-of-ways. And so those will be paid for out of our transportation for 202 and 203 funds.
Okay. So you're building another department for that, in essence, too? Okay, so you'll be building street maintenance for that? Okay. And then, how do you decide how much that work is? Like, help me understand.
It's charged by location, so we go to 1101 South Saginaw, we perform a 4 or 5 hour job, and we just put that, how many hours and whatever equipment or whatever personnel we had, and we charge it to the correct fund, the local streets fund.
Okay, and then how do you decide, so when you're saying doing forestry work, I guess break that down a little bit for me, because I am thinking of like Genesee Conservation District. You know how they go, they diagnose a tree, say the tree's dead. Do you not do that part? Do you only do, okay, this tree is now down, and so now we're getting it up? Or what, when we say that you're moving into forestry, what does that mean?
Well, the mayor's vision was us to do light trimming jobs, small trimming jobs.
Okay.
But we have, we've been out on storm work, storm damage when the last storm came through. And then I do have experience, and we have been cutting down like dead, dangerous trees that could be a potential hazard for pedestrians or whatever. So
And now that you are moving into forestry, is there like a certification or something that is gonna be required for your employees? And if so, do they have to get trained to go and get that certification, and is that reflected in this budget?
Yes, yes, all my training, that for the demo, for the forestry, will is reflected in this budget. Conservation district has agreed to train my guys, and then we do have to have some EAP and environmental stuff for.
What's the cost for that training?
He told me it was dependent on whether they got a building or not, so if they get a building, then it's gonna be cheaper.
Okay.
But,
And
I
if
think
they
that's
do
right.
not get a building, then they will come here to train,
I
or?
was gonna see, whether or not we can bring it down to one facilities to get to the five.
Okay. And do you know about how many hours, and then at the end of that, do you get a certification or something? Do they get, okay. I think, because I have another one on after this. How much more time do I have?
2 minutes.
Oh,
2 more minutes.
2 minutes every time you ask me, that's suspicious. I'll yield down.
You got a timer in your head. Oh, you're done? Yeah. Okay, for right now. Okay. No, let me reset. I'm not gonna use all my 10 minutes, because most of my questions, because is about the forestry. In discussing with Heather, she was not clear that you guys were doing forestry at the time, the last time I spoke to her about it. And, we do have arborists that we contract with. So, and I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 year contract we have with them. Are we going to be using you and them? And wouldn't your time be better served in doing light in the forefront?
Trees can be right.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but yes, and I think we were having this conversation earlier, and we all need to sit down and have a more educated conversation in regards to how it works for everyone. Instead of, just because what I want to see, and I'm not knocking any contractors or whatever, I came from forestry, and I just want to see what was taken from the city of Flint from that.
From the emergency
Yes.
management. And I agree with that. I'd rather have us be responsible for them. The question is would it cost us more to do all these overtime emergency tree removals, like I had a tree fall on 2 houses and into the electrical wire, would it be on the weekend? And they had to be done during the weekend. So would that cost us more to use your guys, or would it be cheaper to use the outside agencies?
I don't know, break out the bills, let's see.
I don't know how much that was, but wouldn't your time be better spent, like I said? If you're gonna take on forestry, then you need more employees to do that, as well as your goal of blight elimination. And I don't see that built into this budget.
They're in there,
How many positions?
we got 14.
14 for arborists?
No,
I mean, no,
we
I
got
mean-
14 total.
Okay,
And
so
that includes the demo, and that includes the forestry people and the black people.
how many do you think for the forestry part?
It's 5. I need an arborist and then 4 trained forestry caretaker trainees.
Okay, I would like to see us bring these kinds of things back into the house, but knowing how much blight is out there, I'd rather have you guys go, because you're excellent at that. Like, get rid of that Connex at some point. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I got you.
And that's gonna be expensive to remove that,
Yes.
as well as their tree trimming vehicle that they got sitting on that property. And then on the fire escrow, when we do the demo, if it costs more than what the escrow account is, are we going to be collecting from the homeowners? Chances are it's probably gone back for taxes, right? And that would be a legal question as to whether we can take them to court to pay for those fines, the fee to remove that house.
You know, that's very interesting that because, I just experienced that. We took one down on Arlington and it was only like $5,000 and we had to eat that, White had to eat that, the remainder of that cost. So that's why I told him, I said, wait, we gotta stop because we gotta figure out the solution because I'll be out of money real quick if I can continue to do that, so. But we're working on that as well. Legal team is working on it, and we'll find a solution.
Okay, how much was that, fire bond for that house? Just out of curiosity, do you know?
Well, you mean as far as how much it costs us?
No, how much was the bond on that property?
$4,000 some odd dollars.
I have it here, I know.
Okay.
So, but it cost you $5,000, so you had to eat the extra.
No, it cost us $9,900.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it cost you personally, and we're talking about a home that you owned that had a fire and burned down, and you had to remove it. So for people to know that that's not a city-owned, it was personal owned, and because I had gone through all the fire bonds and fire escrow, I had seen your name.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely, but we have to take down the properties as well. It's a fire, it's not fair to the residents around that home. So, that is the biggest questions that I've had, because I've been following up with all my questions all along. So I'm going to go ahead and we can do another, round of, let's see, the time is 6:47. There's 5 of us here, 4 of us.
Madam Chair, let me do a point of information before you start on the clock. The hearing schedule says this is the implementation of cannabis enforcement.
Right, it's rich, there's cannabis enforcement as well.
Who's in
But
charge of
didn't
that?
they get moved to, cannabis is on this, Bill. Did they get moved to planning, but it's still under the mayor's schedule?
So, they have their own budget, but I believe they're still reporting from there. They have their own
So this is part of the
separate budget.
mayor's staff, his budget is part of the mayor's staff, there isn't a budget for cannabis, it's just one employee.
So
So
why
the
isn't
employee is under the mayor's.
the income from that part of it?
This last year we received, what's this, about 600,000 this year.
Yeah, so why isn't it part of the income or the revenue? If it's under the mayor's head count of 18 or 29, whatever it is it under the mayor's head count?
I'd have to double check that, but, when you're asking about the revenue side, the cannabis revenue is actually classified as a type of tax, and so it's included under the general, it's considered a tax.
So is the, who's the cannabis enforcement, who's that? Montana, okay, and then he's under the mayor's head count? Okay. Judy, how much time do I have?
We have 40 minutes left. We can do, we need to have some time to switch around, but let's go with 7 minutes and we have more, we can look at it again, okay? All right, I'll set my timer.
Okay.
Let's put it on. Long time no see, man, you don't like us a little, huh? I have a question. I understand your head count I just think five's heavy. And to try to keep that many people, busy and get our best bang for our buck seems like a task that is more, more difficult than keeping them busier on the lake side. So I'll leave that alone. So my next question is, professional services on the Blake. Why are we going from, where am I at? 75,000 this year to 546,000 for next year? What are we allocating for professional services, either to you or to Mr. Moore? What is that? I understand the headcount goes up, but why are we substantially increasing professional services?
We are anticipating more code enforcement, driven things as far as the demos. So we're trying to make sure that we're in line with what we're trying to do.
But, so, even though we can't collect dollars, right, we still should allocate dollars. So any dollars that, if they're gonna be code enforcement, I would assume that we would have a dollar value that we could then bill that, right? Am I wrong?
For the most part, correct.
So, how come we're not capturing that on our revenue side? Even though, you know, who knows if we're gonna be able to collect it, but we should be able to capture that. And we're not capturing any of the dollars that you're crossing from the forestry onto the local streets. None of that revenue is captured. You're saying you're gonna be able to bill for it. And also, this professional services, so why are we capturing those dollars on the revenue side for the mayor's budget?
Where, Brown?
The professional services includes things like, also includes, some of the demo, taking.
But to Mr. Brown's point, if they're, court order demo or anything like that, they should be billable, so.
Oh, it should be, but, the reality is, while it's billable, we don't collect,
We don't collect our water bills, but we still capture that as revenue.
right,
You
we
see?
still don't collect that as,
So why are we collecting that as revenue on this budget?
Where?
we can do that, we will also be increasing the bad debt by just about the same amount.
But we don't know if it's bad debt, right? I mean, we can say potentially it's gonna be bad debt, but we don't know it's bad debt until it's bad debt, right?
That's true, but, our experience has been that, we don't collect, most of it.
So are we automatically, and I don't know if you're off topic, are we automatically putting 40% bad debt on our water receivables? So why are we doing that with this?
We don't, we do budget for bad debt, we do bad debt, because bad debt is a big, part of the water, sewer at this point.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Bad debt is a big part of the expense of water, too, because we don't.
Yeah, I know, and I'm saying that, you're saying if we did that, we preload the bad debt on this, and I'm saying we don't preload the bad debt in other departments, so.
When we don't, but as an agent, we do.
I understand that, but in order to become bad debt, you have to bill it.
That's right.
And this, you're saying it's not a word billing?
No, I'm not saying that at